Hi, this is Erin from Blossy Bee. Welcome to my channel. The plan for this video is to test some coloured glitter UV resin and make a sparkling sun catcher. A few weeks ago I unpacked several large orders from TEMU with some great resin art supplies in it. I'll link the video in the description box. The Suncatcher mould kit and the UV resin set came from those orders. Let's get started. I'm very excited to try out this set of coloured UV resin. It's called Diamond Glitter and it's an 8 colour set, 8 50ml bottles. When I opened the box, every one of these had their little secure lid on, so I've gone through and I've cut off the metal foil from the top, the seal, and I've replaced it with these pouring tops. And what else? Oh, I noticed that now they're opened, they say Light Wish Coloured UV Resin. So we've got dark blue, golden, dark green, purple brown, light green, white, pink and aqua blue. But remembering that they are a glitter resin. So we'll just see how we go. So the quick little experience I had with them as I was taking off that foil seal was that they do smell. One of the reasons I don't love UV resin. I normally use the Solid Solutions UV resin and I don't find that smelly, but this one, we'll see. Okay, so this mould has this centerpiece here and then all these other different sized circles. It came with this cord and these beads, and I'm assuming we just literally put resin in and see how we go. I've put a sheet of white paper over the top of my silicone mat just so that we can actually see the colours more truly, I guess. So let's have a look. We'll start with aqua blue. Just looking, there's no real instructions to speak of, so I'll take off the lid. There we go. And I might just do a tiny one first. And I'm presuming that they will, oh, okay, probably need a couple of coats because I don't want it too thinly. I don't want it to refuse to cure. And just pop that in, and I'm just using a silicone tool to get around those little hole making posts. Okay. Not sure what else there is to do. I'll use my little butane torch to see if we can pop any bubbles. I'm just not sure if that's a bubble there. Okay, well, we'll give that a cure. Just going to do 30 seconds to start off with, and then I can decide whether to just do another layer or, you know, finish curing it completely. And then also, because this is a translucent mold, I can flip it over and cure from the back also. Yeah, that's got quite a strong smell. I need to pop my Resiners curing air purifier on. Okay, that's cured. Alright, and I'll pop a second layer on. Wondering if I would be best putting this into a dish of hot water to try and get them to be more liquid and running into all of the areas, but we'll give this one a go. It certainly is glittery. They've been accurate with that description. Alright, give that little torch. And another 30 seconds. Okay, that's cured, so I'm going to do 30 through the back. And now I'll do another 30 on the front. Okay, let's have a look at our first one and see what we think. Okay, so I can see a little bubble in the side there, but I think that's come out okay. I'll just get a little pokey tool. I think I just went over the top of that, so let's put the hole in. So yeah, we've got a little blue disc. Okay, I think what I'm going to do is get some warm water and set the bottles in it, and then have another little go. So I've got a cup and I've put a plastic bag inside of there, and that will protect the cup. Pop that in there, and then I was just thinking it doesn't really matter how many I do at a time. I have chosen to do it just towards the end of the day to allow for, well, the chance of less UV light, but still some natural light. Pull off a piece of paper towel. And we'll take that one out and I'll pop the next one in. All right, I'll do another little one. All right, I'll let those cure for 30 seconds. Okay, let's have a look and see. Now this one almost looks, oh look, I missed that little bit there. I was going to say it almost looks thick enough as it is. I'll get some paper towel and dry this one off and pop the green back in. That was silly of me. Oh yes, I can see it now. You could all probably see it too. I'll give them another 30-second cure. Okay, I'll flip them over. Alright, let's have a look at these. So, I've got the pink. Now, there's a couple of marks on the bottom of that I think has come from the curing process. Alright, okay. I don't know if this is changing the viscosity at all really, but I think what I need to do is just keep pouring and we'll see what we come up with. Alright, my thoughts so far on this are, number one, I have a headache. And I'm pretty sure it's from this resin. Number two, the mould is very thin. Not that there's anything wrong with that inherently, but I just don't think it probably suits UV resin. And I just don't love the colours. But anyway, it is now time for me to do the centre ring, and I've got no idea what colour to do it because I don't really love any of them. But I could do, I guess, a combination, which could look a bit diabolical. That didn't go so well for me with the two that I've tried to mix up a little bit. I think I might just go with what they call white, which is more clear, because I think that'll match in with the cord. Alright, well, we've ended up with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 large pieces, and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 5 small pieces plus 2 that I can trim. I want to sit these out in the sun tomorrow, front and back, and let them get a really good cure in UV. But what I'm tempted to do right now is box these coloured UV resins up and have a go at doing it with epoxy resin and time myself to see how long it takes me to tint all the different pieces and what sort of an effect we can get. So that's what I'm going to do. All right, I have spent 6 minutes mixing up the resin, and I've popped a little bit of Just Resin's Snow White into that, and I've got just lots of different glitters. So I'm going to get some little silicone pots and just start mixing and pouring, see how we go. Demolding time. I think what I'll do is I'll put all of the pieces that I did with the UV resin just temporarily into a cup, so there's no chance of getting them mixed up. Oh, that didn't. Oh, it'll be fine. Now, I did have a little bit extra, and it was when I was doing I took the clear, and I added in a little bit of a lilac coloured mica powder. Just wanted to see what these little hearts were like. Oh, they are tough to demold. Okay, they're extremely chunky. I might try and do this, push them out that way. I did a couple at the full depth of the mould and a couple at just a few millimetres. Pop that back in. So let's have a look. So the large ones, I like the little small ones much better. Cute. Okay. And I also thought I'd test out the Hello Kitty mould. So we've got like just the head at the top. So that's sort of cute. And not a very good colour. I don't know why I chose that colour. And then the bottom. Alright. So this one, I ended up pouring that middle bit. I don't know what it is. So I thought, well, worst case scenario, I just have a little disc. So here's our centerpiece. Oh, that's slightly bendy because they're very thin pieces. Okay, so that's all of our pieces. Tiny bit of overspill there. I'll take that off later. So I'm going to let these reach their full strength, and then I can start trying to assemble them. After spending a few minutes just sanding a couple of little edges and picking out any that were just completely warped or anything, this is what I'm left with. So I'm going to sort them into what I think could be good patterns. The central disc for the Suncatcher has 4 holes, so there's going to be 4 threads running down. So I'm working out how many of each piece I can have. I'd like to preface this section with some information about my skills in this area. They are zero. I have not ever done anything like this before, and I am not someone who would consider themselves to be good with knots. However, I did ask for help from someone who is, and they're a fly tire actually. And the knot that they recommended I use is one where you loop the cord under and around, and you do that 3 times and then put the thread through. I'm going to show you that properly in a little while because it's hard to see the thread on this grey background, and I'm also learning at the time. But the idea of this knot is that it pulls down quite firmly to the actual disc, and it sits underneath it, not to the side and not around it. So I really wanted to end up with a whole connection of threads. I didn't want threads running over the discs or, you know, anything like that. I wanted each part to be connected separately, but then they would all join into one long thread. So once I've done the knot and attached the cord, I trim one end, and then I'm left with a really neat cord and knot. I'm going to now start looking for some beads to really try and make this really pretty and to stand out, but also to help me with securing the knots. So what I want to do is closest to the knots, I want to have a tiny bead, and then I'm going to start layering the beads up a little bit larger. I am going to use the ones that came in the packet, but I'm also going to add in a lot of my own because I do want it to be quite unique and have a few different sizes of beads. So threading that on and then pulling the bead right down close. Now because this is the way it's going to hang, it doesn't matter if the beads are tight up against this piece or not. They will hang with gravity. So I put a small bead on, then the next bead, then another small bead, and in that way I'm starting to build a pattern. I'm not thrilled with the way I'm able to show you this, and I do apologise for that. It is really difficult for me to film this and learn to do the knots for myself the first time, and I'm just going to speed it up and show you, and I'll try and talk you through it. So the next thread down has got the disc and then the pattern of 3 beads and then a stretch of wire and then another 3 beads. And to keep the beads in place from slipping up or down, I use another type of knot. I think it's called a surgeon's knot, and I will show you that one in a moment as well. And then I just keep doing this until I've got all 4 discs that I've chosen connected down the thread, and then I get to the bottom, and then I'll show you how I finish each of the threads off. So after attaching a piece of the cord to the final disc, to the bottom of the final disc, I've now got quite a long length of cord, and this is going to be where I weight it down and add some pretty beads just to add a bit of a sparkle, I guess, but mostly to give it that weight to keep it straight. And so what I do is I do my little pattern of beads underneath that one, lock those into place with those surgeon's knots, and you just do as many as you need to get a thick enough knot to stop the last bead. And then I'm going to build up a pattern using some of these beads that I've got out here, and I'm going to now start from the bottom and work my way up. The beads that I'm adding now are going to be closer to the bottom disc than the ground, essentially, and I'm starting off with some small beads, and then they get a little bit larger, and then right at the end, or one of the last ones I'll put on, are some larger beads. Now these are all beads that I've just rescued from people, you know, discarding old necklaces and things like that. I've got a lovely lady who has given me quite a lot of beads that she's pulled apart as well, and yeah, you just end up with a bit of a collection. And all I wanted to do was make sure that I had two of each of the large ones that I'm going to finish it with, because I'm going to have two different styles of cords. So two of the cords will have a sort of a round glass clear bead at the bottom, more like a crystal looking, and the others have got one which is a little bit more shaped. And so all I'm doing is building up this pattern, and I will repeat this pattern on the matching thread as well. And of course gravity is helping with this one. So that's the dangle that we've ended up with. And now all I need to do is to secure the base. So underneath the last bead, I'm going to tie several of those surgeon's knots, and I'm going to tie over the top of each one so they become thick enough to prevent the last bead from getting through. And then once I've done that, that is one of the dangles finished. This is what it looks like. All of the discs are connected with the gorgeous little beads. Each thread is individually doing it, and then we've got this really pretty little piece at the bottom. It's very difficult to show you what this looks like. So this strand has got the large gold, then pink glitter, blue, navy blue, oops, and then it's got this little drop at the bottom. So I'm just going to loop that one up out of the way a little bit, oops, on my camera stand. Okay, now the opposite one of that has got the darker glitter, another dark blue, pink, and then this green, and then exactly the same beaded pattern on the end. So I'll put that one up as well. Okay, so that leaves us with this one, which has got the green, and so this is the knot that I've got on the end of each piece, coming down to that set of 3 beads. The ones that are on top of each of the discs aren't secured because gravity is helping them stay there. The ones that are underneath have a surgeon's knot. So it comes down to the white or clear glitter, hot pink glitter, an olive green, and then this is the other dangle that I created with the faceted crystal drop at the bottom. And then the last one is blue at the top, sparkly green, gold, silver, and again we've got the same drops. So the two different drops are here. And then they're all tied together onto this center ring. This is just a different view of the Suncatcher, and it was a long project. After doing the first strand on my workspace and filming it, my eyesight was really struggling. So I ended up doing each of the 3 next strands just at different times over the few days after that, and got into a much better pattern. But as I said, it is so hard to show you, and I really don't particularly want to get it all tangled again because it can easily. Now, I thought I'd show you how to make the 2 main knots that I've been using, and I'm going to use just a thick white string to show you, because it's very hard to see when you're using this sort of type of almost like a fishing wire. So I've just got a scrap piece of resin here that I'm going to use. So the piece that you pop through will have a longer section and a shorter section, and the shorter section is called the tail, and the tail is the piece that we'll be working with, and the other section just stays straight. So it's through like that. So the tail is going to go underneath the longer piece, and then we're going to loop, make a little loop like that, and hold it with our thumb. Then we're going to go under again, go round, make a second loop, hold it with your thumb, go round again and make a third loop, hold it with your thumb. Now we're going to go under, but this time we're going to go up through, oops, the center. Now this knot is a self-tightening knot. Oops. And when you pull it, it will come down firmly on top of what you've attached it to. Now that didn't look very graceful because I don't think it would be designed to be used with a chunky string, but that is not going anywhere. So that's that knot. Now I'll cut this one off. Actually, yes, I will. I'll cut this one off. And now I'll show you the surgeon's knot that I mentioned. And this one is the knot that I use underneath the beads to keep the last little bead from falling down. So this knot here, attaching to here, is that one I just showed you. And now I'm going to show you this one. Okay, so what I'm going to do, just trying to think how to demonstrate this to you. I'm going to put a mark on the string, and oops, and we're going to pretend that mark is, for example, like that bead. Okay, so this is where I want my knot to be. So all I do is I make a simple loop, pull through knot, and then I lay it down. Now I get my tweezers, and you're going to grab the section where you want the knot to end up. So remember, I'm grabbing there. Now when I was making this, that would have been the last bead. So I'm grabbing that firmly with a pair of tweezers. Okay, So now all I'm going to do is tighten that knot and tug, and you'll see it's ended up right where I wanted it to. Now if I want to do a second knot to make that chunkier, I just do exactly the same thing. So I'm going to set my basic knot down like this. I'm going to grab with the tweezers exactly where I want my knot to go, and then I'm going to tighten my knot, and this time it's gone on top of it to make a chunkier knot. So one that is big enough to not allow the littlest bead to fall down. I really hope that helps. I'm worried it's not, but as I said, it's something I had to practice, and I ended up getting quite good and quite fast. But honestly, I did have to undo a few bits and have another go and redo them. But I much prefer it like this than if I had the wire running over the top of it or through it. And I just think it's a much more delicate, professional look, and you know, they're all knotted in tightly. And then at the bottom, obviously we've got gravity working for us again. These aren't knotted downwards apart from those three, but I do have a substantial knot at the bottom, which is one of those surgeon's knots, the second one I showed you. There we go. So if you are interested, just let me know in the comments, because I can always make another one and perhaps use a more visible thread and show you a little bit more. But overall, I think this mould, even though it was sold as a wind chime, I definitely have not set it up as a wind chime. I've set it up as a sun catcher. I think it's good. It's got all the basic components you need, and you can make as many of these as you want. If you wanted to have more dangles, you could drill holes, or less, you could space them out and make 3. You could make more elaborate pieces at the top, and you could also make, you know, really quite short little ones as well. You could also make them with just beads. It's just a matter of getting that wire and getting your basic knots figured out, and then repeating the patterns. I think it was the repeating patterns that I enjoyed the most, because that's very rewarding when you do that. Okay, it was terribly difficult to photograph and to get a video of as well, but I'll show you what I ended up with. This is the sun catcher hanging off a little tree in my backyard, and then hanging off a little garden arch, and Tess, always my little faithful companion outside, they're critiquing it for me. I took it over to my friend's cafe because I wanted to try and get a video of it indoors without any wind blowing it, and it looks super pretty. But then something really funny happened. My friend thought, oh, what if we hang it over here, which was above a table in the cafe, and then we went and did something else, and this is how we left it. And the next thing, there was a couple sitting at this table, and we're like, oh no. So she quickly ran out and took it down and apologised. I don't know if they noticed that they had their personal dangling chandelier hanging over them. Oh dear. Anyway, look, a bit of fun. As I said, it was very difficult to photograph. I'd also like to share with you an update on my pledge for the month of June to walk 100 kilometres for people impacted by breast cancer. It's called the Big Bold Walk, and it's supporting breast cancer trials. And I'm so excited. I've reached 75 kilometres. So 3/4 of my goal, and that's at the end of day 9. And I've also already exceeded my fundraising goal, and I'm so grateful. I've had 2 amazing subscribers support me and make very generous donations. So thank you to those beautiful ladies. If you would like to support an amazing cause and help sponsor my walk, I'll leave a link in the description box. And I'm just, really enjoying the fact that I'm able to get out and about and try and achieve this. So, thank you so much for spending this time with me. I really appreciate your company, and I look forward to seeing you in my next video. Bye for now.